Hello to all the geek enthusiasts and nerd aficionados and deadheads and Walking Dead family. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. This is MaliceCast TV Talks The Walking Dead, and that's what we talk, The Walking Dead, every single week, Mondays, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Join us live here on twitch.tv/MaliceCorp to talk about all things having to do with the most recent episode of The Walking Dead. This cast is brought to you by malice-corp.com. You can see it written there right on the screen. Go visit us there. In fact, we have what's called nerd fights, and you can go there right now because there's a robot nerd fight for best robot. Go vote. No, don't listen to him. We're not going to talk about who to vote for, but we're going to talk about Walking Dead here. So last night was a big deal. It was the first ever crossover event for The Walking Dead, something that they said may never happen, and it actually happened. We already knew the universe of Fear the Walking Dead and The Walking Dead were in the same universe, but they actually took a character from The Walking Dead over to Fear to start that whole thing out. They did a big old shindig for it, which Fathom Events put on, and you went and watched the episodes back to back with no commercials on.
That was nice. That was so nice.
Okay, so you guys both went to the actual movie theater to watch two things back to back.
Yeah.
Yes.
What was your experience? Was it just a ton of huge, that universe fans, or?
Yes.
Okay.
We had some people even dressed up.
Describe it more for me, shall you?
We had a couple people dressed up too for it.
There was a lot of commercials for Walking Dead. They kept playing a lot of these. What was cool was they kept playing a lot of these videos of fans of The Walking Dead. Why they were fans of The Walking Dead, cosplayers and stuff. So like, the funniest thing was I'm looking at the video that they're playing, and I'm like, that is WonderCon this year, because everybody that's being interviewed right now is wearing the exact same outfits they were wearing on the Fear the Walking Dead panel. So, and then you could see the arena in the background of these people as they were talking to them.
So that's actually the main question that I have for you, West. You've been to a ton of conventions. Mm-hmm. Was going to that screening like being at a convention? Was it similar?
No, but it was an experience. It was kind of the best way I could describe it for a convention. Is a lot of times they'll give out passes to sneak peek screenings and stuff like that at conventions. Sure. This is what that was like.
Okay.
My experience with it, and I'll get Mrs. Malice as well. But what the cool thing was being able to sit down with, what was there, 70 people, 100 people inside that theater?
About, yeah. And
enjoying something that we all love together, and having the reactions when Negan, and as always, this is a spoiler cast, so if you have not watched the episodes, we have already watched them. We are going to talk about them. Come back later and watch what's going on if you don't want anything spoiled. But when Negan got his throat cut, crowd, like, people cheered in the crowd, and it was just like, it was an experience that was different. When Eugene said, I think the line of the night, what was it, the
Fooey for Folka Bluey?
Yeah. Everybody started busting up laughing.
Introducing Fooey for Folka Bluey.
Yeah,
it was nice.
Man, still a douchebag, still not a fan.
And
I liked it.
That's the thing. In one fell swoop, I back on the.
We're gonna get to that.
We'll get to that. But
by the way, let's introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
Hi, we're here.
I'm Miss5150. I host this cast. These are my cohorts in crime. I see Zorro. How goes it, sir?
Oh, dude, I missed a week. I was in France. I missed being on this. I just caught up on last week's on the drive to work, listening to you guys. I couldn't actually watch it, with the driving. But you had some clever comments, but there was still so much that I was disagreeing with, and I wished that I had been there.
It's your fault.
I know.
You decided to
I did. I left the country for a reason.
Yeah.
And also joining us is Mrs. Malice, our Deadhead aficionado, our big super Walking Dead fan.
You're welcome.
Hello, Mrs. Malice.
Hi. How's it going? I'm most excited about getting this.
I know, you guys both have those, and I want one now.
Too bad.
They were awesome. Yeah, and so that's what she just showed you. that was the thing that you got for going to the Fathom event at the theater. Now, we did not get the best Fathom events because apparently some of the New York shows had had McDermott and a couple other actors pop in to the theater while they were sitting there waiting for it to start. Out in LA, they had some of the Fear the Walking Dead cast. So Jenna Elfman, Dominic.
We still haven't seen Jenna Elfman yet.
No, we haven't. Yeah, but they popped into the cast they popped in over there. So
that would have been so cool.
Yeah, San Diego, we're just not. They figure we get enough for Comic-Con that go out to our
it's
theater.
a big enough
It's
celebrity
not fair.
So, but yeah, what was your experience with it, Mrs. Malice, going to the Fathom event? What'd you think?
I liked it because it was fun to sit with that many group of people and experience something that I love to watch with a bunch of other people, and just hearing their reactions and my reactions with their reactions. It was really cool. I loved it. I want to do it again.
Yeah. I will say this. I watch react videos for The Walking Dead, and I think people overact, and they're like, oh, and all this stuff.
Oh, no.
I can now say truthfully that people are not overreacting when they're watching this.
They're actually doing that.
Sitting next to Mrs. Malice.
Did you sit next to somebody that went,
No,
Yes.
Mrs. Malice was doing it. She was every time that Gabriel did something stupid where it looked like he was going to die, she just...
oh my God.
Okay.
Don't get me started.
Like when he jumped out of the car, I was like, oh my God, no.
Yeah.
He needs to die already, by the way.
I saw the tears starting with Mrs. Malice at the very beginning of the episode.
Oh, with the Carl letter reading.
Well, the Carl letter reading was last.
Well, that was last episode, yeah.
But I cried then too.
Mini Carl. When they were
They're
showing
walking up to see the cows.
Just Rick saying, I remember.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
I remember Pizza Fridays.
I cried with the scene with Maggie too when she was screaming at Rick.
yes, you did. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the episodes.
By the way, real quick, first of all, Jack Malice says, I have learned never to go to a movie with Mrs. Malice and Mest. They don't shut up. They kept talking the entire time.
I shut up during movies, but this was a special event. I can't not. Yeah. So yeah, I kept making little.
I would stab you.
Well, no, this is okay. So she kept doing all these things. I kept doing because I was making my thoughts of what was going to happen in the next episode when we were watching it. So I kept going, oh look, oh it's going to happen now. It's going to
like with Tara. Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Anyway,
which
we
I was
were
wrong
about to get into it.
Let's get into. We'll start talking about The Walking Dead first. So episode 16 of season 8, Wrath. Last week was Worth. The first episode of the season was Mercy. So they were counteractive with each other because
are they just working on the the 7 deadly sins and their counterparts?
If you take the very first episode and the very last episode titles, you put Sadiq's prayer together, which is what Rick says at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Show me the mercy to
By the way, can we talk about Sadiq?
Oh, we can talk about everything.
Yes. I mean, you go what you want to do, but the Sadiq scene killed me.
This is going to be a super fast fly by the seat of our pants because we're going to try and get 2 episodes into 1 hour of talk.
There's no possible way we're going to do that.
Oh, we can do it. I have faith in us. So we had the season finale, and main stories of it. First and foremost was the end of All Out War. Everything was coming to a head. We were finally going to get the conclusion for the fight. So you started with, as we said, the tear-jerking scene of seeing Carl walking with Rick and basically remembering the scene he talked about in his note to Rick about the cow that came up to him and just looked at him and stuff like that. So it wasn't Chandler explain Carl, but
clearly. But Carl's letter made this entire episode. Carl's letter to Rick and to Negan made this episode happen.
Mm-hmm.
And we were all wondering, there's a lot of divergence from the comics. When I was listening to your last episode that I missed, you were talking about the main difference between the last 4 or 5 episodes and the previous ones, where Rick was kind of morally flip-flopping and whatnot. This one brought him back to what he's supposed to be as far as the comics.
Who he started out to be.
It brought him back to his humanity. That letter from Carl was like, oh, you could see, even in last week's episode, you could see when he was reading that letter, that got him in the gut. That's why he even sent Michonne with the letter to Negan, for Negan, because he thought, man, if you just hear what Carl said. Yeah.
So get through that. We jump straight into the way that Negan is going to screw over Rick with the plan that he set up last week, knowing that the plan was going to get to Rick, and literally explains exactly what's going to happen. We get green hair that the guy had?
Blue. I think it was blue.
Blue hair.
Yeah.
Blue hair.
As soon as you see a dude with blue hair in this universe, you're like, he's dead.
Well,
I still want to know where he got the hair dye to keep his hair that blue.
That's a fair point.
Who has time to dye their hair this time?
Then Jack says Rick is a master knife fighting warrior.
We're getting
improvised cutting edge, can cut a throat and not nick an artery.
This is a question for the end of the episode. Yes.
So he keeps complaining about last night's talking amongst each other. Yeah. So he gives the whole plan that he's going to send decoys, dumbasses as he calls them.
Idiots. No, he said idiots.
Idiots.
So
when he walked away, I thought he said...
We got it, Hefe. And he turns around and he goes, idiots.
Oh, okay. I thought he said... Okay.
No, it was idiots.
I watched it last night, and I'm tired from...
Just watched it, yeah.
So, that's what I thought he said, because it's Negan. That's what I expected him to say. But he was sending them out there as cannon fodder, basically. They're going to be the ones that are going to make it look like the plan is real. Rick's group is going to attack him. They're going to find a note that's going to show him where Negan will actually be.
And I was taken in by that for a minute. He's like, and they're going to believe it because every one of them is going to be dead. They're going to have killed all of those morons.
Well,
and, you see the one guy still alive. Like, I'm sorry, I give up. And then Morgan kills him, and you're like, oh,
yeah.
Okay,
had Morgan not killed him, then
yeah. But as it turns out, yeah.
So, which Morgan's a whole nother story. So,
oh yeah,
we're gonna get to that.
But we see that the plan is going in Negan's favor. He's setting everything up. Rick is going to be caught in the crossfire and taken out. And Eugene has come to the forefront with the bullets like he said he would get for Negan, to the point that we see him test out the bullets on. Did that shirt say what I thought it said?
It said Rick.
Oh, it said Rick.
It said Rick.
Okay.
With a D.
What did you think it said?
I thought it said Rick with a D.
It said Rick.
No, it just said Rick.
Okay.
Rick. Well, no, didn't you normally call him with the P though?
Rick the prick?
He called,
Yeah.
Yes.
No, it just said Rick.
Okay.
That's what I thought it said on it.
Yeah.
So, just carrying over from Eugene, doing what he did last week, which was I'm going to basically screw over everybody because they threatened my life. And Negan decides to take Gabriel along with him so he can try and see everything.
Yeah, Gaby.
Yeah, not Gabriel. He's dehumanizing him to the max.
Yeah. And he explained,
you're not Father Gabriel. You're Gaby. Come on, Gaby.
Well, because he needs to, what is it? His sins, he needs to confess because he hadn't confessed.
I got some shit to confess.
I'm going to tell you the plans, so I'm going to confess
And
that.
immediately after that is like, well, I think I've done some sinning. Maybe? I don't know. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. And I loved Gabriel's response was, so your confession is you're going to kill every last one of them? I don't think that's a confession, really. It's just, you're just telling me your plans at this point.
Yeah, to which Gabriel does the stupidest thing possible and jumps out of the truck. Being blind.
I don't know. Well, yes, being blind.
That answered my question from last week. I was asking if his eyesight was getting better because he didn't look like he was as blind.
But then,
just as bad.
Yeah,
we got a little
into the trees and stumbling.
We got a little clip actually from his viewpoint, and he is definitely just as blind.
Bad. just
Yeah.
as bad.
Yeah.
So
Got my first big reaction too. Oh my
that's
God.
when we got our first big reaction from Mrs. Malice, where he takes the bat, he takes Lucille like he's going to
Oh,
smack
Oh
Gabriel's.
yes. So when they get Gabriel back, he says something along the lines of like, "You're gonna have to pay for what you did." And he picks up the bat and he take him back to the truck. Like, oh,
yeah. Oh,
The tense moments, because that
once again, Negan has been consistently merciful and human.
yes.
Like he has been a good dude.
until last episode where they switched him back to being this is Negan.
I think he still believes he's doing the right thing. He's trying not to kill anybody he doesn't have to. I think he's doing what he believes is the best work.
Well, last week he said I'm killing them all. So
Yeah.
Well, that's fair. But
I think he would have killed them all. If he,
oh
if he
no,
won.
for sure. But even with that, like I think that was in his mind justified, and he even explained it a little bit in last week's episode. He said, "You know what? I didn't want to do this, but
yeah, and Jack Malice makes a good point. He was dehumanizing Gabriel and was using it to justify his terrible deeds in his own mind by making it a
Oh,
kind of
absolutely.
joke. Yeah, that's Negan to a T. Yes, dehumanize everybody, justify his means by joking about it. That is
even last week when he was responding to Michonne on the walkie-talkie and saying, "There's no more talking. I'm going to kill every last one of you."
Yeah.
He even explained that. He said, "Look, I didn't want to do that. I thought we were going to be able to work together, but Simon screwed so many things up. At this point, I have no option but to kill all of you."
Yeah, and that's Simon says. So
Rah.
and Jack says that was not mercy, that was manipulative psychological torture. I agree with that too. Yes,
I
for
agree
sure.
with that
So,
too.
Yeah, for real.
But he was a PE teacher.
Negan was definitely a gym teacher.
So yeah, they get to the field to where they think Negan's gonna be. Then we start getting and I'll pinpoint the other thing that's gonna set up what's coming for the next season, because they see it as they're going to the field. They see the largest horde they've ever seen.
Yeah, and that was kind of vague.
No, we'll get into that.
No.
Okay,
We know what
yep.
that's setting up.
Okay,
We all
yep.
know what that's setting
Yes,
up.
yes.
Yeah, I have a strong feeling what that setup's for.
Yeah. But they get to the field. We start getting the whistles that the saviors are there. They know that they're there. They've got them. They've got them. They've got them all cornered. And Rick's like, "Come out to the field. Come out. Show your face and stuff like that."
By the way, how did they all decide on a field of battle? Like, where did that hilltop field come from?
That's where the map said they'd be.
Yep.
So
I was dissatisfied
Negan
with
pretty
that.
much led them there as a trap. So
Yeah.
thinking that they had the one up on him because they thought that Dwight had turned and, falsely sent them.
But was that part of the ambush or the ambush on the ambush?
It was the ambush on the ambush.
Yep.
So, which Rick thought he was ambushing the ambush.
yeah.
Wasn't he though?
No, he wasn't.
I guess he actually. You know what? If it wasn't for
thought he
Eugene,
was.
if it wasn't for Eugene,
They
he
would
would
have
have
been
lost.
done.
They would have been
There is
done.
no way. When you see, so he brings the saviors forward, and last week, and like I said, saviors seem to multiply like freaking rabbits.
Right? How many of them are there?
Because
Lord.
last week he showed for the amount of soldiers that were left on the map, there was 10 soldiers at each
11
circle.
soldiers at least 10
It was
circles.
9.
So
it was 9 circles.
no, there were 10. It was
110 total. Was what
It was 110. Yes.
Yeah. So that
So
looked
there's
like
at
way
least
more than
110
everything out there.
soldiers, not even workers and various
Yeah.
people. At least 110 soldiers.
So that could lead you. That could be a possibility that he had more outposts than what they
Absolutely.
originally thought. So,
Yeah.
because
But
all
then
you do is pull them in.
Yeah, but then you see the scene where Rick's group is, trapped, and all of a sudden the ridgeline is lined with people.
Mhm.
How many friggin' people did they have?
They called in some favors.
Yeah, pretty much.
But that's when we get Eugene redeeming himself, because they go to shoot and every single one of the guns backfire.
Oh my god.
So many hands blown up, so many faces with shrapnel. Here's my question. Does this redeem Eugene?
I think yes.
Yes.
I'm on the fence.
Only because he gets another redemption shortly after that with
Because
Rosita.
The only reason he gets a redemption with Rosita is because she shoots somebody to save him, and she's like, "Did you do that?" He's like, "Yeah, I most definitely did."
But he did it because of Rosita, because of her.
Yeah.
She put the gun to him, and that's what he explained. You know, the whole thing that started this of getting Eugene over with Negan was.
Real quick, Beacon says, and now half the world is handless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Welcome,
They
Beacon.
could do they could do what Merle did and put that knife on his hand. So, you know.
There we go. There we go.
No,
Yeah.
if you only have one
bunch
hand,
of
you might as
morals.
well hook it up.
He says Eugene will come up with new jobs for the crippled handless saviors.
Hashtag hook it up.
So, yeah. So I think it redeems Eugene because it shows that when I go back and look at it,
We've been so dead set against Eugene, like
because he's never
over the
shown
course-
a backbone.
over the course of the season. We've
time.
been saying, is there anything that Eugene could do that would make him redeem himself? And we've all been like, nope, screw it,
No.
can't do it.
I
Nope.
wanted to know how they would write it to redeem him. I said it would be really hard for them to do it, and they figured it out.
As it turns out, disabling all the saviors and killing a lot of them, that'll do it.
well,
That'll do it.
what it showed to me was one, it showed a backbone, because if his plan didn't work, he was screwed.
Yeah, oh
Because
yeah, he was.
If only half the things go off.
His plan was almost screwed already.
Yeah.
The shaved head chick, I think it was. She was like, "It was him. Let's get him."
Yeah.
And he had to shoot her, and then all of a sudden got saved by Rosita.
Mhm.
So, that's the thing with him, is that he actually showed a backbone. He actually he used what he has as a resource, and that's his brain, to make it work so that not everybody had to get killed, but that they could come to a resolution. And that's what he's been trying to do since day one. If you go back and look at everything, that's where I was like, okay, this redeems him, because he was always trying to keep the saviors alive because they were taking care of them. But at the same time, he was always trying to, you disagree?
Yeah. No,
Okay.
he wasn't worried. Eugene, you're talking about, or Carl?
Yeah, Eugene.
Carl was always trying to keep everybody alive. Eugene was always trying to keep himself alive.
No, because he released Gabriel and the doctor.
Yeah, he did.
He didn't know that Sasha was going to do what she did and kill herself.
No, I think he knew.
You think he knew she was going to kill herself?
He made that pill he gave her. He gave her that pill.
I don't think he thought. Well, I don't know. Well,
In my opinion, Eugene is primarily focused on keeping himself alive, and if he can try to help somebody else out, cool, whatever.
and Beacon has always loved Eugene and the glorious mullet. He says in the chat.
Well, yeah, the Tennessee top hat, the West Virginia waterfall, yeah,
Business in
my
the
God.
front, party in the back.
Oh my
yeah,
God.
of course.
So
Beacon also says Eugene tried to save Gabriel and the doctor.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
fair. Yeah, he did. But overall, his primary focus has always been saving himself. There's no dispute about that.
I think, and this is going to go towards the comic books. For the people that haven't read the comic books, we're dropping a spoiler here. I think what they're doing is they're setting up that Eugene's focus is Rosita, to keep Rosita safe.
Yep.
He talks about how the reason he said that I made the bullet was to save her originally.
Sure.
Negan.
Yeah,
And now when Rosita took a gun to his head,
yeah.
he went back, and because he couldn't stand her being upset with him, being willing to kill him and stuff like that. So I think they're swaying that way because a relationship does happen between them in the
It
comic
does
book.
make sense
It
in
does.
a TV sort of way.
Mhm.
As of last episode, when he puked on her and she wanted his head, I was like, oh, that's comic book
Well,
stuff is never going to happen.
That was one of the best
Well,
moments of the night was when she socked him and she's like, "That's for the puke."
That's for the puke.
And that's
Absolutely.
another redeeming quality because he took it like a man.
She
He
should
took
kick him
that
in
punch
the balls,
like a man.
honestly. Yeah.
Well, Jack says, I mean, bad ammo doesn't usually blow a gun up. It just misfires. Poorly maintained weapons normally cause weapons to pop like that. So a lot of revolvers in there. I thought bad ammo doesn't normally cause them to explode. Well,
I think he called it out in the previous episode. No, I think he called it out in the previous episode where Gabriel was making the ammunition incorrectly on purpose. And then he said something like the way that you're setting the caps up there, that's going to explode rather than fire.
That's what So, and that could end up killing some people or causing serious damage, if nothing else.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. But bring up the past, Beacon. Oh my God, I almost forgot about that.
About the Watcher.
The Watcher.
Yeah.
The Watcher Eugene.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, our first encounter, Eugene was a Watcher. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. In the creepiest way you can imagine.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So that sets off, and I expected more trees because when Rick said he chases Negan with an axe, that wasn't through the forest. That was not a forest chasing, in my opinion. That was just to the one tree that we've seen all season long, wondering what was happening.
And by the way, we've seen him sitting there daydreaming by that tree, wounded for most of the season. So he's supposed to have.
Well, remember, it wasn't daydreaming because we thought it was a daydreaming, but it was actually Carl's dream of what the future is.
Is it Carl's dream?
I think it was Carl's dream.
But it was. I mean, they cut it with him sitting by the tree with the
because they were trying to throw us for loops and what is going on and stuff like that. So.
That is
of
not
course, when
satisfying.
you see the tree, you're like, oh, we know Rick's gonna be crying next to the tree. So what's gonna happen?
That is not satisfying.
And the glass in the tree didn't have, it wasn't broken, but they shot the glass.
Rick shot it out.
Yeah, Rick shot it out. But
and that's what he used to slit Negan's throat too.
Yep. We didn't see
that. That's what I want to know on your guys' thoughts. That brings everything right back to the comic books. We get Negan.
Yes, it does.
It does.
Staying alive, slitting his throat. Do you think that was the good decision to bring it back that way, having had Carl killed earlier in the season?
Yes, still. Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. I was wondering how they were going to get it there. Because, as you had mentioned in previous podcasts, we were thinking they're kind of.
I saw no way of them being able to get it there.
Right, that there wasn't going to be an easy way to get back there, but I think the Carl letters brought both of them back to there.
Carl's letters is one. So, the funny thing is, Morgan points out to Rick that he used his word to kill those guys. Which
that was a great moment.
What have we become?
When something has gone wrong, man.
Yeah, and Rick does it again, basically, because he's like,
exactly
10 seconds. Let me, and just as you see Negan kind of like, yeah, you're right. He just whack, and it's like nothing changed. Rick is
that is definitely a throw to the comics because in the comics, Rick is saying, "Look, we can live together." We can have a harmony. We can have a community. We can work together. Like we can create roads. We can create trade. And Negan's like, "Oh man, you might be right." And then Rick goes, just right across the throat in the comics too. So even if it was Carl telling him to be peaceful, it doesn't matter. He was going to do that, and it was very much a throwback to the comics. I appreciated it.
Yeah, me too. I liked it.
I love this episode. I thought I was right, but
as far as character moments, yes. If you want Rick to be Rick, that was difficult.
Yeah. So this is what Andrew Lincoln said on Talking Dead about that specific moment. I think and this explains kind of he was on that same track. He was on the I'm not listening to what Carl wants me to do. And when he did the swipe, he was on that same using his word to kill people. I think Rick realizes in these points of darkness and trauma and grief, killing ain't going to take the pain away. Revenge isn't going to do it. When he slits his throat and he says, the boy didn't know a damn thing, there's that common knowledge that Negan says he's appalled. He says,
Yeah.
"You just use your son's name in order to kill me," and he
That was
recognizes.
such a good moment.
And here's the thing: he
Mhm.
recognizes himself in Rick's actions, and it's only at that point that Rick realizes how far he's gone and where he's headed if he continues that way. So it's not until he slits his throat that it's looking back in that mirror in Rick's mind's eye and going, "Crap! If we don't try and save him,
Yeah.
I'm gonna become him."
Well, and as Jack Malice said much earlier in the podcast, he must be a ninja. Like that was
Yeah.
It
the
was
most
just pure luck because
that was
he
the most
was
precise throat slice ever.
Exactly. It was pure luck because Rick, the way that Andrew Lincoln just said it in that comment, Rick's intention was to kill Negan in that moment, but then seeing what he did.
Absolutely.
So, exactly. I mean, what do you think on that, Mrs. Malice?
I think, yeah, it kind of woke him up to realizing that he's going away from who he is and not being so human. He's turning into an animal, and that did wake him up. And that's when he realized that, I'm not listening to my son. I need to go back to me.
Mhm.
So him saving Negan, almost killing him, and then saying help him, was him coming back around. And it's good to have Rick back.
Well, and that's where I want to get to your point, because now your favorite character on the show gives us one of the most standout acting moments in the entire episode when Negan's life is spared. Sadiq comes along to save Negan, and Lauren Cohen as Maggie breaks down about that he needs to die because of Glenn. I mean, would you? Let's put you in the same shoes. Would you have gone the same way? Like, could you have seen where Rick was coming from with Carl telling him that, or would you have been, he needs to die no matter what?
If I saw Negan bash in my husband and the future father of my kid head in, I would probably be in Maggie's same shoes. I would want him dead. I would try to kill him myself. So I get her, but at the same time, I know she's wrong because they're trying to save humanity. So
Yeah,
it's like,
and that's what I'm saying is,
on the
if it's in a
fence
situation like
about
this,
it.
where with how many situations she's been through with Rick over this span of time, do you think that should give a little bit of like
Trust.
I think she should give a little bit of trust. Because she's been with Rick so long, she should know that something's going to happen to him no matter what, or do what she's about to do.
Well, yeah, we get to the end of the episode and she is full on revolution mode.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's what sets up the for next season. So
yeah, of course,
we get the first scene that we get, Dwight gets taken out by Daryl to.
Yes, but he gets let go as well. And
exactly.
How do you feel about that?
Dwight's left alive. I like that.
I like that too.
So,
Mrs. Malice, how did you feel? Dwight getting let go by Daryl.
I thought Daryl was going to kill him.
I did.
I did. I thought he was, because Daryl had a good reason to hate Dwight too, along with Tara. But when he did that, I went, "There's my Daryl." There's him.
That's the thing. That's if Daryl kills
being a good guy.
If Daryl doesn't let him go, if Daryl kills Dwight, I think that puts him back on the track of going back towards being like Merle.
Yep, absolutely.
And that's why he let him go, and that's why we love Daryl.
Good call. I hadn't even thought about that. That would put him back in the Merle space.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so he does let him go. We don't know what's going to happen with Dwight. We got to assume that leaving him alive, he's going to pop up again, even though Daryl said never to show your face here again.
I hope he pops up again. I really like that character now.
I mean,
hope he pops up again, and I hope he finds
very
his
unlikely
wife.
that we're going to see his wife anytime soon, because she got onto a new show elsewhere. So it'll be a different actress if we ever see that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Daryl said, "Go find her."
Yeah, and I do hope he finds her.
Yeah,
I really do. That'd be great.
A couple points to the chat room. Jack Malice, our producer, said that about Lauren Cohen's acting looked real and it caused him physical pain just watching her. She did a fantastic job on that.
Oh, yeah,
on that
she did.
breakdown.
Yes, her
Beacon-
screaming of like, "No, kill him! It's not over till you kill him."
And
He
Beacon,
Beacon
Beacon says not a lot of reason to trust Rick, really.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's his group trusts him still for some reason, despite him becoming kind of psychotic at times this season.
But from an overall perspective, at this point, dealing with the Carl letter, with him being the leader, you have to, as a viewer, you have to understand he's trying to make something better. He's trying to make a society that's going to go on. And I get that the people that he's living with, the people he's dealing with, don't get that. And of course, they've had to deal with people like Negan, who think the same thing, but in a much different way. But he's at this point saying, look, he said it in the episode, there's got to be something after.
And welcome AJ Weiss to the chat.
Hey, AJ Weiss.
Says, overall, yes. Yeah.
There's got to be something after. He's trying to advocate for a more peaceful, more civilized
Carl's
society.
words because he's learning that Carl was right finally.
Exactly.
Which is the opposite of how it went in the comic books, because it was, the complete opposite thing where
well, in the comic books, he wanted to keep Negan alive, and Carl really wanted to keep kill Negan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So other parts of the story that we got was where I was completely wrong, and I thought it was going to happen when it finally started showing itself, was Tara, I thought was going to die, sacrificing herself this season, when they said Gregory was left inside the hilltop, and she's like running to back, because she has that whole thing with Dwight, and with her coming from the governor, that you got to give everybody a chance to change, because so when she started going to run back to go,
she had that whole scene where she was like, I'm going back to stop them, and I don't even remember the dude's name.
The Good Savior.
Savior. I don't know his name either.
He's going to become a character.
Oh, he's going to be a main character.
Yeah, for real. Well, next season he's going to be named. But he's like, hey, you guys want in on this? Because I'm not leaving her.
Let's hope he's not a doctor.
Oh God, because then he will die.
Yeah.
We'll talk about Sadiq later. But anyway, she says, I'm going back. I don't care. He says, I'm going back with you. I don't care. And then all of a sudden, friggin' Molotov cocktails out of nowhere.
Here's the thing: is I thought they
were landmines.
Yeah, I thought they had traps set up.
I did it.
She's like, give it a second.
Too. Yep. She's like, wait, don't shoot yet. Wait.
Yeah.
Now, Molotov cocktails from Oceanside.
Which is the best thing.
The Amazon.
Go for it, Mrs. Malice.
The Amazon Oceanside ladies.
Based on last week's episode, we should have expected that they were going to, have some kind of impact. I was waiting for it. It surprised me still.
Well, here's the thing. Now we know that if you want to get people to join along, just send Aaron out and have him do some Stallone muttering to people, and they'll come along.
Just almost die in the mud and be like, we gotta join,
Yeah.
Actually, his speech was fairly convincing last episode.
It was, but it was having to listen to it 3 times to go, what is he actually saying?
Oh no, I watched with subtitles. I'm good.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
by the way, speaking of joining, we should probably do a plug at this point. This website that we have, malice-corp.com. This is what brings you all of these podcasts. Mm-hmm. We write a lot of articles about nerd stuff in general. Wes, do you want to take it over?
Well, the big thing with that is that as we talk about attaching to comic books and what's going to happen in the comic books, best thing to do is if you go to malice-corp.com, at the bottom of any of our articles, there are links to Amazon. Click on those links. Go get your trade paperbacks for The Walking Dead to catch up and know what's going on for the show versus the comics. It helps you get caught up. It helps us with a little bit of a friendly kickback type of thing. But we appreciate it.
The more caught up you are, the better these shows are for you.
Yes, and you can compare with us.
It helps us get better visually and content wise and stuff, it's all back in to give content back to you guys.
Absolutely.
Because we don't get paid to do this.
And it helps us keep it running.
And as always, along with that, support your local comic shops. If you can go get the trade paperbacks from your local comic shops, we have 2 fantastic comic shops that we have partnerships with, that we have fun with. Sky High Comics in San Diego and Turbo Comics out in Idaho. Great comic shops, especially Turbo Comics. You guys really need to check them out. If there's anything that you want to get, look them up on Facebook.
If you happen to live in Idaho.
You don't have to live in Idaho. They'll send it to wherever you need it.
Good call.
Getting back into this little bit of the episode, what's left. So 2 things. It's pretty much just setting up for where we're going from here. This is why I love ends of the seasons, because you're trying to figure out things. The big thing about this episode is this is a closing episode. This episode is the last episode that Scott M. Gimble is the showrunner on.
Gimble.
He is now becoming the head of the entire universe.
Yes.
Of Walking Dead, and there's a new showrunner. But he said this episode was the end of a major story, not the last 2 seasons, the last 8 years. He said that's and when I watched the episode,
6. Yeah.
Well, he said last 8. When you watch the episode, if they take out the scene with Maggie at the end, I could see this as being a series finale. I could be like, this,
Yeah.
So,
if you take out that scene with Maggie plotting revenge on Rick for not killing Negan, then this is it's a series finale. Everything is wrapped up nicely. Mrs. Malice, go ahead.
Well, I don't think she's going to do revenge on Rick. I think she's planning to kill Negan herself
somehow.
I think it's going to be both.
Here's the problem with this. Okay, so 1, Lauren Cohen still isn't fully signed on to come back to the show 100%. If her pilot gets picked up, she can only come back
a couple episodes.
Yeah, so that might be the end of her story next season. 2, if she goes to try and kill Negan, Rick states to Negan that that way of things is done. No more. Anybody that tries to do that type of stuff, they will get punished just as bad. So
it's the whole foundation of his new civilization. Like, it's the building blocks of that. We don't kill unless we have to.
Yeah. So if she tries to, which is what she's seeming to set up, that she needs to prove Rick wrong, they'll sit and abide their time and wait, as she says. And unfortunately, the person that steps out of the shadows that's going to help along with that waiting is Daryl, which I don't know what's going on there, because he just let Dwight go. So it's like, I know they were setting up a little bit of a fallout between Rick and Daryl already with the fight that happened.
That confused the hell out of me, honestly.
Me too.
I saw a comment. Maybe it was just the fact that Negan made Daryl listen to Easy Street so much that that he has to take it out on Daryl, or has to take it out on Negan. So I don't know what's going to happen with that. That's the setup for next season. We're going to find out how good you can actually keep these societies together. The actor that plays King Ezekiel says even he wonders how good you can do it, because they are actually quite a bit apart from each other. So trying to work amongst each other, being apart, is not going to be as easy as
in the comics. Ezekiel is already not now, but soon to be dead.
Yeah. In the comics,
I think he's still alive where I'm at.
But then again, the books and the comics are so different.
We get that. We get the horde that we saw, which clearly is setting up the Whispers.
Massive.
Yep, it is. That's the
God, I
biggest
hope
horde
that's.
we've ever seen.
It has to be, because
It has to be.
they use the Whisper, they use the horde as a weapon. So it's clearly got to be setting that up.
And isn't that how they came into the comic books too? If I remember right, that's how the Whispers came in, right?
I'll
have to reread it.
The Whispers came in with a scout running into a small horde.
Yeah.
But there was somebody that was saying, like, is he there? Yeah. No. So not a major horde, not an invasion type thing.
Yeah. The last thing we get, and I don't even know what to do. I looked at Mrs. Malice when this happened. I'm like, who the hell is that? I don't have to say her name anymore because she gave us her real name. because I always say it wrong. Jadis
Anne.
And
is Anne.
Oh,
Who the hell is Anne?
Anne. Yes.
There's no Anne in the comics, so
There
unless
really-
she's replacing a character that we don't know, or she's a brand new character altogether. At first,
Gotta be.
they always thought that she was the leader of the Whisperers, that's what was going to happen. That's what the speculation was, but this clearly shows that is not the case.
no.
Not even a little bit.
She's joining in with Rick. Can she be trustworthy? We don't know.
Well, we don't know that she's joining it with Rick. Morgan showed up and gave her an invitation. He gave an invitation to go back there.
Yeah.
But
because nobody should be alone but Morgan.
But Morgan, because he's got stuff wrong and
I
he
gotta
kills
leave.
people and stuff. Yeah.
I gotta leave.
Clearly, by the next episode that is in the crossover, which is Fear the Walking Dead, she has gone because Morgan is living in the trash by himself.
By the way, are we continuing on with?
We're gonna go straight into it. Yeah. So,
okay. So
I just want to mention this really quick. Hold on 1 second. So, one thing that was noticed on one of the cups or barrels or something that Anne was moving earlier when she was waiting for the helicopter, it clearly had, and it was caught on Reddit that they figured this out, had a symbol with 3 circles, which is the symbol for Commonwealth.
Of course, it was Reddit.
So now, once again,
Commonwealth
is the chick that showed up earlier actually Georgie? Is she actually the leader of Commonwealth? And were they in the helicopters? And is Anne part of Commonwealth that was watching on everybody, and that's why Georgie knew what was going on? So lots and lots of stuff that season 9 is setting up. From there, we go straight into Fear the Walking Dead. If you don't watch Fear the Walking Dead, watch this episode. You do not have to watch the rest of Fear the Walking Dead to know what's going on in this episode.
Yeah.
It does not tie back to any of the characters whatsoever.
But also, if you didn't watch this episode, spoilers.
Yeah. I like to add.
What did you think about them doing that?
I never kind of really wanted to watch Fear the Walking Dead because I had everybody tell me that it's horrible, it's not good. But watching this made me want to watch it. So now I want to go watch Fear the Walking Dead.
Here's the thing.
Wait, you haven't watched Fear?
Nope.
It's real good.
It's really good.
Yeah, now I have to watch
about
it.
a season and a half to really get into it, but it's really good.
It takes some time.
Here's the thing. So Fear the Walking Dead's episode was really just getting Morgan transitioned over to
And they did a
Fear the
great
Walking
job.
Dead.
There were almost
Great
zero
job.
characters from the actual show right up until the end.
Mhm. When
It
he
was a great
snaps,
job.
so in Walking Dead, he snaps and almost kills Henry. And that was the last straw for him, where he's like, I gotta get away from these people. So he gets away by himself, tries to be by himself.
By the way,
will,
somebody needs to kill Henry.
it's not going to happen. He's going to either become Carl number 2 or he's going to take over Sophia's storyline. Yeah. So he's
trying to be alone.
He tries to be alone,
And
but
we are
nobody will let him be alone. Jesus
Tap,
comes
tap,
along.
We get
Yeah,
a long
Morgan comes along.
montage of him walking across the earth.
Yeah, walking till he gets to Texas and trying to be alone, and then he comes across my new favorite character in this entire universe.
Oh my
And
god,
Mr.
me too.
And Mr. Malice's favorite character.
Josh
now.
Dillahunt's character, Dorie, not
Garrett.
like the
Garrett
fish.
Dillahunt. Garrett Dillahunt.
Garrett Dillahunt, yeah.
Dorie.
His character, Dorie, not like the fish with an IE, not with a Y.
John Dorie.
John Dorie is my new favorite character in this show, and in any of the seasons. So the more of him that I can get, the happier I'm going to be. Because
Yes, please. Every show he's ever been in, I want to like more of that guy, please.
Yes. I liked it.
And that's what I want to ask Mrs. Malice, because she says she wants to watch Fear now. Was it specifically the factor of him, or was it like Maggie Grace being joined into, or I mean, what?
It was all of it.
Okay.
To see, I want to be able to see the other side. I guess I want to see how the people from Fear the Walking Dead have survived. Like I had to watch with The Walking Dead and reading the comic books for The Walking Dead.
Oh, for sure.
I did absolutely love how they let Morgan go from The Walking Dead into the Fear of the Dead, because it's just so sweet that they actually got to say goodbye to him and know that he's still going to be alive. So I thought that was really cool.
I'm a big fan of how they are willing to jump the timeline like that far forward.
So let's explain that.
Because
I don't know anything about Fear Dead. So.
The Walking Dead has been going on for 4 or 5 years. Fear the Walking Dead has been going for about a year and a half, internal timeline wise. So they must
are at
must
least
have
2
done
years difference in time.
Absolutely.
They asked at WonderCon about the time jump, and he said, "Who said a time jump? We play with time," but they didn't explain. Explanation has now come out. There is going to be a very interesting season of Fear the Walking Dead. So you're going to have 4 different stories going on this season to get everything caught up. You'll have Morgan's story, which happens a few months after Walking Dead season 8 finale. Then you'll have Madison's story, which will start about a year after the events of the season.
We're going to need that because we did not see Madison in the premiere.
So you'll get Madison's story that's started about a year after the events of Fear season 3 finale. And then
which was the washing out of the dam.
And then you'll get the year between the season 3 finale and where Madison's story picks up, which will fill in the rest of the time jump that kicks off season 4. So it's going to be jumping all around. It's going to be like an episode of Alias where we're trying to figure out which timeline is what.
I would put it more along the lines of Lost. Like, what? Where?
So
What?
Hi, Polyfuse.
No. Oh.
You bring in Maggie Grace and you go start going like Lost.
Yeah.
Welcome, Polyfuse, to the chat room. So glad to see you.
I was mostly upset about the fact, like they clearly. I thought this was very clearly after what we saw in Walking Dead. He's working with the walking stick.
This episode was.
Yeah.
Everything having Morgan is going to be clearly after what we've seen in Fear.
But if you watch Fear at all, the fact that this has got to be like almost 2 to 3 years after. So that entire group is still hanging together.
You got to think about it too. The him walking too. It takes a long time to walk from where were they at? Virginia
to California.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
California, Texas. They're in Texas.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so the other group has made their way to Texas.
Yes.
They
clearly show that, but because they show what Morgan passing a Texas sign that's on the ground.
Yeah, that's fair.
So they are in Texas. So yeah, it still takes time to get there. But what do you think on that, Mrs. Malice? You think it's going to be an interesting season where you have all these different timelines kind of converging and then finding out what happens? is that more it's not something that The Walking Dead has done before, so is it something that seems kind of more interesting to?
Well, with the latest season of The Walking Dead, of all the jumping around, I think it should be good. Hopefully they do a better job than this season of The Walking Dead, because there was a lot of jump around for The Walking Dead.
You don't think it was a good season?
Yeah. Paulie says
I thought it was a good season.
Paulie says in Fear they went from Cali to Mexico, then Texas, or northern Mexico as he calls it. So, but yeah, that's where they've been moving around. Remember, they took the boat for the first season.
Sure. Yeah.
To move from down to Mexico. So, yeah. So I am super excited with Fear so far. I was excited about the people that they were going to cast onto it after seeing Maggie Grace as her new Althea, who is, I think, a fantastic character.
Oh, she did an amazing job, by the way.
I like the little prodding that she's giving to Morgan to find out.
Can we talk a little bit about her truck?
Oh my God!
Where did she get that thing?
We don't know.
It's a SWAT truck where you have to pull a handle and all of a sudden kill everyone.
Well, it's got the guns that come out and they're like motion sensor or something like that.
Well, see, that's what we got to watch it to find out. So
we have to find out. So they're going to explain a lot more of what happened. It's just going to be a lot of jumping around. So this essentially what we got with Walking Dead this season, where we were going, where's the time jump and what's going on here and stuff. I'm assuming we're going to get a whole season of that with Fear, because it's going to be like figuring out which timeline is which.
I think there's going to be a lot of backstory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
By the way, Jack Malice says Google says it takes 473 hours to walk from Virginia to Texas.
Wow. Let's start walking.
It's a while.
We'll get a good workout. So
Ready, go.
Can you cut off about 3 hours using a walking stick like Morgan does?
Yeah, what
Well, he did take a couple cars too. So
What if we're on a hoverboat?
So, like I said, new favorite character in this. I think they did a wonderful transition of Morgan over to Fear. Gimbal said there is no plans to do any more crossovers, but who knows what the future holds. The reason this crossover came about was with new writers. These are brand new writers that came onto the show, so they figured out a way to do it right. Also, Gimbal helped write this episode, making him the very first person to ever write an episode for both series.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So, and lastly, on The Walking Dead, this is the first time since the season 4 finale that nobody from Rick's group or within major characters died in the finale.
Yeah, nobody died.
Now,
Except for the blue-haired guy.
Encompassing all that, if there's any
that
other
guy.
points that you guys want to say about what you liked about the episode, what you think's coming, what you didn't like about the crossover, let it go, because we've gotten all of this under an hour, so we're sitting pretty. And I want to know your final thoughts.
Under an hour?
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I want to know your final thoughts. So, Mrs. Malice, did you think they did the crossover well? Was there anything you didn't like? Or what do you think is coming down the pipeline?
I know I had another previous favorite episode, but I'd have to say this one knocked that one out of the sky. This was a really good closing finale for the season. I loved it. They all did a marvelous job on their act, especially Miss Maggie there. She was amazing. I love the crossover. I thought it was great. Like I said, it's making me want to watch Fear the Walking Dead, which I probably will start watching it soon. And I can't wait. And what I hope to see from next season is the Whisperers.
Okay.
So that's what I'm hoping.
God, I hope so.
And maybe a dead Negan.
Yeah.
No,
I don't know if that's gonna happen.
No.
No, it's not. It's too much like the comic books now.
How about you, Icy Zorro?
I love the fact that they were consistent with the comic books, keeping Negan alive. I'm also looking forward to the Whisperers, but mostly I really liked the Fear the Walking Dead stuff. Like,
sorry, in the chat, Polyfuse asked, how fast can Forrest Gump run that? Google that.
249 meters a second, apparently. No, I really like the way that they dealt with Negan, kept him alive. It's gotta be. But I'm also looking forward to the Fear of the Walking Dead stuff. Like, it's clearly got to be about 2 or 3 years in the future jump. So I'm looking forward to see what happens to those characters that brought them to the point where they're ambushing somebody on the road.
Yeah, big time. That's what I want to know. Yeah, I do want to know what's causing that. So it's going to be a really, really interesting season. I have one last thing to ask.
And we're not going to stop.
We didn't get somebody that died in the season finale, like we said. How many episodes till a major character dies next season, season 9?
4th episode.
1.
You think in the 1st and you think in the 4th? Okay.
Absolutely 1.
Okay. So we're gonna have something major. If the Whispers are maybe that's how we get introduced to Whispers. They take somebody out.
Okay. Which show? Fear or regular Walking?
Oh yeah, that's that. There you go.
Well, I'm saying season 9 for regular Walking Dead.
So
How soon until we
Walking
get
Dead.
somebody?
1.
One season,
4.
1 episode.
Yeah.
4. Okay.
4.
Also Fear 1.
I was
Don't know.
wrong about all my things. My guess for who died. We were all wrong about who our guess.
We
for
were
who died
all
this year.
wrong.
I said Carol, and because she had nowhere to go with her story, but they gave her story back. I think you said Tara.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So,
and I think I said Maggie actually.
you said Maggie, yeah.
Oh,
So we were all wrong.
Guys.
The only other question that I want to know is when the heck do we get the guy with dreads that left Alexandria coming back, because he's big in the story in the comic books, and
Yeah, where is he?
he's got to show up somewhere. So
we were last week. We were asking, "Where's Jesus?" Now we know where Jesus is.
Yeah.
Now where's this guy?
By the way, Jesus had a fair influence this time.
yeah, but they're changing his character a lot too because he's Mr. Pacifist and now he's like all with
Yeah.
Maggie on let's get in cahoots and figure
Carol was
stuff out.
like,
But
"Oh man, I'm starting to love that guy."
Carol has a story now so I don't think Carol's going to die for a little while because that was the thing with Carol was they
If they kill Carol, we riot.
I'm on that boat. I'm on that boat.
I hope that Carol finds out what's going on with Daryl, and then she wakes him up in the next season.
Carol and Daryl, they're a
Because
unit. Yes,
they are a unit, and they are the glue for each other to hold each other up. So I hope she finds out and she stops Daryl. That would be great.
Yeah. So as
we
always,
barely even talked about that, but yeah.
I know it's just too much stuff to talk about. You guys can continue these conversations with us on Twitter. I'll tell you where to follow us. But as always, come back next Monday, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We are going to be continuing this with Fear the Walking Dead. We have Mrs. Malice joining on the ship. So to listen to watch some Fear the Walking Dead.
We'll all be here.
So 9 p.m. Pacific Standard next week. Fear the Walking Dead Season 4, Episode 2. And with that, we enjoy you guys coming out here. Let's see where you can follow us. Icy Zorro, where can we follow you?
I see Zorro on tweets and Instagram. A lot of wine stuff, and that's pretty much it.
Mrs. Malice, where can we follow you?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mrs. Malice 4134.
And that's Mrs. with MRS, not spelled out fully.
Yeah.
You can follow this entire network of podcasting on Twitter at MaliceCorp. You can also follow MaliceCast. Follow any of these great handles that you see here for Twitter. These are all some of the great casts that we have going on that are audio casts. Some of them are video casts. Quest for 100 is Quest for Movies. And Nerd Mosh Pit is one of our audio casts with some of our other fine folks. And we have Comics for All coming along, all types of stuff. So make sure to keep up with us on malice-corp.com. You can follow me on Twitter at mest_malicecorp or on Instagram at mest5150. You can follow our great producer, Mr. Jack Malice, on Twitter at jack_malice. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. You can follow the main Instagram at malice_corp as well. Come back to talk Dead with us next week, Monday, 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here on Twitch. It's much funner when you're here live to talk and discuss the episodes. Thank you so much for talking Dead to us, and we will see you guys later. You keep nerding on.